Morning, everyone. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. They told me yesterday I spoke a little bit quietly. Obviously they don't know me. So thank you very much to everybody for coming. Hopefully you'll have a really good time, and hopefully you'll see that this event is a little bit different than some of the other safety events we've run that you've been to before. So we're trying something different. We'd really appreciate everybody's feedback on how it went and what you liked and didn't like towards the end. So thank you very much for taking time to do that. So my name is Desange. I think some of you know me, plus actually it says it up there. So either you can hear me or you can read. Either way, you now know who I am. So what I'm going to do is, unfortunately, with all of these kind of events, there's lots of logistics we need to get through. So I'm going to do the logistics first before we dive into the event. Mostly to make sure that you don't burn in a fire or something like that. So a few things that I want to do. If you're not on Wi-Fi, there are some instructions. There you go. It's called Hilton Free. Should be free. If they start asking you for money, then you need to contact somebody. If you have any questions at any point in the day, look for people with blue badges. If you've got a white badge, then it's one of you. There's no point asking them questions because they don't know. So look for people with blue badges if you've got any questions, and hopefully they will know. So get on the Wi-Fi. Also, there's an event app. Hopefully you've all downloaded it. If you've not downloaded it, I encourage you to do so. A couple of reasons for doing that. One, it has all the schedules. So we're trying to go paperless and be paper-free as much as practically possible. But the more important thing is, during the presentations, there's a section in the event app where you can raise questions. So that way, we're not asking you to sort of shout them out. You feel free to shout them out. But during the event, if you're shy and you want to ask a question but you don't want to shout, then just put your question in the event app and it'll come through to us. And plus that way, if we don't get a chance to answer it, we can always follow up with you afterwards. All right, so there's lots of instructions on how to do that. Also on your badge, these badges are very exciting. There is a QR code on the back. Most of you might think, ooh, does that QR code mean something about me? No, it doesn't mean anything about you. We're not tracking you in line with GDPR compliance, which will be a big topic through the week, I'm sure. What that QR code does is take you to materials for the event. So if you see any presentations that you're interested in, you should be able to download them off that QR app. They may not be there just yet because, as is the want with most consultants, we're still working on some of the material. But certainly by the end of the event, if you go to the QR code, you should be able to download everything that we have. As I say, most sessions will have a Q&A. We really, really want to encourage you to ask questions through the presentations and then at the end. I really like to ask questions while people are speaking, just to disrupt them and make sure that they actually know what they're talking about. You may be more polite than me and want to wait until the actual Q&A session at the end. That's up to you. And as I say, if you are a bit shy, you can always use the Q&A part of the event app. We also have some learning zones outside for those of you who want to know more about the products and the technologies that we're going to talk about. Myself and a couple of my colleagues will be outside, stood in front of the giant screens. You'll be able to tell it's us because of the giant screens. And then you can see the tech that we're talking about. Tonight, there's going to be a really nice dinner, I'm told. There's going to be lots and lots of food. There was a bit of confusion, including for me, where I was given the choice between duck and falafel, and I thought I'd best take some of my own food along. But apparently there's going to be a gigantic buffet of food. We're not going to be able to finish it, even though there are a few Americans here. So I would encourage you all to come along and help us eat it. We don't want to have any waste, both from a paper perspective, but also from a food perspective. So please come to the dinner tonight. I'm told it's going to be excellent. If it's not, I will point you to the person who told me it was going to be excellent. All right. Now, a very important thing, there are no fire alarms scheduled for this event, during this event. So if you hear the fire alarm, the building is potentially on fire. So don't wait around to find out if it's a drill. Please make your way to the exits. Very funny story. I was doing one of these introductions for a room full of air stewardesses and air stewards. And I was making fun of the fact that they have to do all of this when they point out all the exits, and I said there will be no drills. When the fire alarm goes, please make your way out. Just at that moment, the fire alarm went off, and they all start looking at me, and I'm like, you're trained professionals. This is the bit where you're all supposed to jump up and go, hey, come on, let's get off the plane. So, if you hear the fire alarm, don't wait around to be told there is potentially a fire. Please leave the building. We are in the bottom of the building, so even more reason that you want to leave soon and carefully, or we could all potentially burn to death. Terrible. Which really wouldn't do much for this sort of survey at the end of the conference, would it, if we died? So let's try to avoid dying. We are in drug safety after all. Okay, so I have a couple of little slides of my own that I want to present before we bring on our first speaker. So I think with all of these kind of events, it's very easy for us to forget why we're here and why we're in drug safety. So I thought I would point out one really simple and interesting fact about drug safety. Next slide, please. So why do we matter? Why do we matter in drug safety? For those of you who sort of look at the statistics, over the last decade, the number of hospitalizations due to adverse events has fallen by over 20%. And that is simply down to us doing a better job in drug safety. So less people are going to hospitals with serious adverse events because of the work that we do. And that's just one of the many statistics around drug safety that show that as professionals in this industry, we are making an impact on people's lives. And it's sometimes hard to remember that because we look at data all day and we look at aggregate numbers all day. But ultimately, behind all of those numbers is a patient who didn't go to hospital because of the work that we do. So, thank you everybody for doing a great job. A little round of applause for everyone in the room. And then my final thing, they asked me to do some sort of icebreaker. I said, the room's a little bit dark. My usual icebreaker is to get people to stand up and dance or do karaoke. I was told that that was not going to work today because we didn't have enough microphones, which is a bit of a pity because I think every conference starts better when you've had a little bit of Taylor Swift. But for those of you who did want to do karaoke, if you're staying around on Thursday night, I know a really good karaoke bar in Barcelona where we can go. So if you're really up for a bit of Taylor Swift with me, please let me know. We can organise to go. So one little thing before I finish up and introduce the first speaker. I'd like everybody to point to themselves. I'm hoping this is an instruction we can all understand. So if everybody could just point to themselves, please. It's not that complicated, just who you are, just point to yourself. Yeah? Okay, now look around the room and look at the people next to you and around you. And I think what you'll notice is that most people are pointing to their heart. Right? Nobody points to their head. Yeah? So when people ask us, who are you? We naturally point here. And so what I'm hoping in this conference and what I'm hoping that you'll take away from this is, whilst we want to interest your head, what we want to do is inspire your heart. We want to inspire who you are so that you walk away from here trying to do drug safety in a different and better way than we do it today. So, thank you very much. I will introduce our first speaker, who is going to be Manish, who's a planetary health futurist. That is an awesome title. I am going to do very poor justice to it by introducing him. So I'm going to ask Manish to come up, stand up and present himself, talk a little bit about what he does, really to tell us what he sees is going to happen over the next decade with regards to drug